Welcome back to HSC AMA, and we've got Sangram Vajre today. Super excited to feature you, Sangram. And as a little introduction for, I don't know, in case you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard about Sangram, Sangram is the CEO of GTM Partners. He's been shaping the go-to-market landscape for years. Before that, he led marketing at Pardot, which Salesforce has acquired for $2.5 billion, and co-founded Terminus, where he helped scale the company from 0 to 100 million ARR as the CMO. And his MOVE framework has become a go-to model for go-to-market alignment. And his book by the same name is a Wall Street Journal bestseller. Definitely worth checking out in case you haven't yet. Sangram, super excited to feature you. What did I miss here?
Well, that's super awesome intro. I should have you introduce me anywhere I go. That way you have it. You know, what's interesting is when you mention about, well, two things. One, Pardot got acquired by ExactTarget, and that was for about 100 million. And then ExactTarget got acquired by Salesforce for 2.5. And so I just got grandfathered into that incredible ride, and I'm grateful that I learned so much. And Terminus, we went from 0 to 1 million in the first, then 5 million in the next year, then 15 in the third, and then we just continued to grow and went through a PE acquisition, all that stuff. So I just wanted to full transparency. Like, I wasn't part of, like, I didn't do this 2.7, but I definitely was very involved in the Terminus story.
Well, Sangram, we have a ton of community fans watching you now. And yeah, just catch us up to speed. How's 2025 treating you? What's on your radar now?
2025 has been a bit crazy already, because I feel everybody's trying to figure out go-to-market. And since pandemic, I think things have clearly changed. But more specifically, with AI, people are reimagining their roles, and that, I'm sure, is a topic of discussion that people have, and happy to dive into it. But as a GTM partners, our whole business is, half of our business is research, and the second half is advisory. And we did that on purpose, because I love research. You know me long enough to know I love creating frameworks. Brian and I, my co-founder and co-author on the book, we just love, we literally block 2 days, Monday and Friday, specifically to do things like this and frameworks, so that we are not focused on clients, we're not focused on sales or operations, we're just in our invention mode. And then the rest of the 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, however that shapes out, we do a lot of advisory, so we are in front of it. And I'll tell you, Julia, I think across the board, everyone is struggling with these 3 things. Number one, the ownership of go-to-market. That has been the most contested, debated, misunderstood, misinformed, overly maligned role and question that talk about. And I can dig into that because our book kind of did part of the research. Number two, when we surveyed, it shows that almost 70% of the people, the go-to-market leaders, are saying they can hit the goals only if they have clarity and alignment and trust at the executive level to know what bets are we really making. But 70% are saying that they don't have that, and they need that. So that's the number two. So the first one, the second one, and the third one, this is personal. I think everybody's reimagining their own role. Am I a CMO? I'm a CRO, or whatever role you have. What am I supposed to do in this world right now? What am I supposed to learn? Or am I supposed to lead my team? But I'm supposed to also know all the answers around what to do with AI. I'm also supposed to build a brand. I'm also supposed to close deals. So there's a level of expectation that have raised that people are struggling with. So all those 3 things are top of mind for me, and I hear from a lot of folks.
Yeah, this is so exciting. Sangram, I saw your research, and I was quite frankly shocked that go-to-market clarity is even like, I think you mentioned it's the biggest hurdle for generally between teams, and it's even like, like bigger than competing in the marketplace,
Right?
Which is quite crazy. But yeah, where do you think it stems from? Is it like, and I know that you're big on CEOs, like,
Yeah.
Just
CEOs need
on
to
top
go
of
to market.
go-to-market, but yeah.
I mean, every interview ever did with every CEO who are been successful, from Nick Mehta from Gainsight to when Brian Halligan was the CEO of HubSpot, to Scott Dorsey was the CEO exact target through that acquisition of 2.5 billion. They all, without even blinking, Julia, they will say, oh, I own it. I absolutely own it. But then you talk to the CMO, CRO, or any of the, no, I'm not sure. I think it's about product launch. I think it's about that. So people are misunderstanding the point. And therefore, we in the book, we kind of laid out like go-to-market is really a transformational process. It's change management at the end of the day. And you and I are probably making at least 10, 15, 30 decisions a day on go-to-market. But Julia, when I went through that, I actually, to be very honest, I thought I knew go-to-market before we wrote the book. I thought, you know what, I had a Pardot exit. I'm having a Terminus exit. I've been there for 20 years, been the forefront of marketing automation, forefront of ABM. I kind of felt like I got a chip on my shoulder saying, oh, I kind of know it. The book forced me to become a student. And the reason happens because every time I talk to people who had done 10 times more than I've ever done, they all just had that level of clarity of what is it that they're trying to do. And the teams beneath them, they still struggle. And I think that's the divide. I totally believe that almost every single person listening to this, they are waking up early to work hard. They are making sure that they do the best work they possibly can in their life. They're not trying to hide from anything, but if they don't know what are they running towards and what for, and that is the job of the CEO, then they have a half-hearted response to a lot of these things. They're not part of the solution, so they're more order taking. So we encourage the CEOs that we work with and the executive team. We do a lot of team transformation. We don't do any individual transformation. That's another thing that I've learned. Go-to-market is a team sport, and transformation cannot happen for go-to-market specifically as individual. So if people are saying, well, you know what, I'm going to take some courses and I'm going to do some meditation and I'm going to do some, and you're going to magically figure out how many leads and how many deals you're going to close, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is you're going to feel like, okay, I got it, and everybody's slower than me. And then you're going to have that frustration and that gap that we see in the marketplace. But transformation, when everybody on the executive team are aligned on which markets to go after, which go-to-market motion to focus on, what is our differentiated point of view, how are we going to make our customers love us more, what is their ROI in their mind, those are the words, those are the things they're really worried about that pull people back. And that's what clarity, alignment, and trust is all about. That's what companies are struggling with day in and day out. They just don't know how to talk about it and address it.
An exciting journey. Sangram, I'm thinking, how long will, in your experience, let's just reverse our initial plan a little bit. We will dive into the presentation and catch everybody else to speed. But
anything you want, Julia, I'm here for you, and anybody who's asking questions, like I'm totally for you.
I'm just curious, you've been on this road for 2 years now since the release of the book?
3 years, actually.
3 years.
Wow. As a matter of fact, it's the 4th year. September will be the 4th year. So yeah, we're in the 4th year right now.
How long typically does this transformation take?
The go-to-market transformation, so here's what I've learned in the process. First and foremost, the CEO has to want that. Most organizations, the CEO is not saying like, well, it's your job, you figure it out. Marketing, you figure out ICP. Sales, you figure out pipeline velocity. Customer success team, you figure out retention. And in an effort to have people work on different things, you're actually creating divide in between. So it's not how long really it takes to do go-to-market transformation, Julia. Is the CEO committed to have a go-to-market transformation and have the team working in the same way, which means ICP is a go-to-market conversation, and marketing, sales, and customer success and operations and product should be part of that. Sales velocity is a go-to-market conversation, and all the same team should be part of that. Expanding, retaining, and observing your existing customer is part of go-to-market, and they all should be part of it. That's the part that takes effort and time. And so whenever we have done, Julia, we're working with a company that's a $100 million company right now. They literally did it in 6 weeks. Every week we would go through that, and everybody just locked in on ICP. Everybody then locked in on specific go-to-market motion. And once you're locked in, then everybody just knows they have a lot more energy that, okay, I'm not double guessing myself. Is my CEO aligned? I'm not double guessing myself if my salespeople are going to close the ICP leads that I'm going to give. All the team members are in it. They have committed together. That's what transformation is all about. And I think it really, the CEO has to be, or whoever, it's a bigger company than the GM of that particular, or if it's multiple different products you have, the owner of that product, that individual has to own that part of the conversation.
Makes sense. And to all of the CMOs watching, CROs and the C-suite generally, if you realize that, I guess your CEO is not clear with the vision and the go-to-market framework, what would be your advice? How do you approach this? How do you basically, I don't know, evangelize this opportunity and initiative within the organization?
It's very hard. But quite frankly, it's almost impossible for most companies. That's why the tenure for a CRO and a CMO is so short, because you're not aligned. So the best thing we can do, and in the book we give roles like, hey CMO, you're kind of almost an evangelist role that you have to play, because you have access to all the information that's coming in market, as well as sales. Everybody's knocking on your door because they want some support from you. In a way, you're in the best position. Your job is to present the challenges in the CEO conversation, whatever go-to-market meeting hopefully you're having every week. As CRO, you're in the front lines of deals that you have to make. And if those deals are not closing at it, your job is to present the challenge. So if the executives can actually think about that as a business problem and bring it
Mhm.
at a business problem level, I think the conversations are very different. And Julia, you probably have heard me say, we even have a t-shirt, I'm not wearing it right now, that literally says you don't have a marketing problem or a sales problem or a CS problem. What you have is a go-to-market problem. So it's literally, the words truly do have the power of life and death. So if you go in a meeting and say, or the CEO says, hey, where are my leads? All of a sudden, the marketing person is not going to look at that as a business problem. They're going to look at that and say, oh my gosh, my job is on the line. I don't know. I need to defend myself. So that's what's happening, as opposed to if the question happens to be, hey, where can we grow the most? And now the conversation is, everybody's a business leader. You just happen to have marketing skills or product skills or sales skills. You're a business leader, and your job is to try to figure out how do you answer that question. And sometimes, Julia, and I'm sure you have seen this and people listening have seen this, the answer actually can come from a completely different source. So for example, when we were advising a company about 3 months ago, they thought that they had to change the marketing, the differentiated point of view. They have to create a whole new funnel to drive leads. And when we walked into that advisory, we realized that, whoa, wait a minute, you really don't have to do anything. Your actually product is very enterprise, very heavy, very bulky, very high priced. You need to create a lighter version of the product. And as soon as you create the same exact number of people who are interested in it, they will actually give it a shot, and you start a PLG motion around it, as opposed to going this typical ABM motion. Even though I come from that background, I'm vested in companies doing ABM. And as soon as they did that, they started to see a tremendous amount of success. The marketing and sales started to click, and the revenue started to grow from a product change. So the question, if was faced like, hey, marketing, give me more leads, they would not have been able to do more. They would have given 100,000 leads, and they would have still not able to crack the nut on this one. But as soon as the product was able to decouple from enterprise and create more of a PLG motion, that they already had existing market credibility and brand, their revenue started to work, and marketing and sales started to have much more success. So that's an example of how hard GTM really is if you don't phrase the questions the right way.
I love the fact that you're involving product in the conversation, because typically we think about go-to-market teams as marketing, sales, revenue, customer
Yeah.
success. Okay. But nobody's talking about product at all, or what it is you're selling.
Yeah, product is never in the room. We joke about it. I feel like I want to create a documentary where marketing and sales is just having this conversation, and product person just walks by the office and saying, are you talking about me? And they're like, yeah, you need to do this, but we're going to figure out how to go to market. And the product person is saying like, why am I not in the room? Why am I not part of the decision making? This is so typical, Julia, and it's very hard. That's why it's a go-to-market is a team sport, and you have to figure out who the people are on the team. And it certainly shouldn't be only marketing and sales. As a matter of fact, not just product, even operations sometimes are not in the role, because they're like, well, you go run some reports. The RevOps role, as you and I both know, has become so important, but almost all of our research shows that majority of the companies use the RevOps people to do pretty much tooling. Hey, connect these CRM to the marketing automation platform, run these reports. As a matter of fact, they should be the most strategic person in the room. They should be the one telling, where should you invest? Should you invest in marketing or sales? They are the one who has the vested interest in the business being, if they're independent. Most organizations, Julia, are still learning the fact that, okay, I don't need to go to salesperson for a sales report or marketing for marketing reports. I need a central, unambiguous, almost independent role that will just look at the numbers for what they are and present. So when we started at Terminus, as well as we advise companies, we have 100% architected that, saying the number one thing you need to do is get a RevOps person who's independent. He's not reporting to marketing, sales, or anybody, reporting to the CEO or CFO or COO, depending on the size of the company. And their job, they are the one who are going to pull the report, not marketing. Marketing doesn't need to come with a report every Monday morning meeting. They need to come with responses to thinking of like what's possible as a go-to-market business leader. And that's very difficult.
Sangram, how do you see the role of RevOps evolving in the age of AI? Like we have this, I don't know, notions that are not quite established yet in the industry, GTM architect,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, who's going to be basically running all of the, AI agents now?
Yeah, I see, and I get on at least 3 to 5 demos almost on a daily, every other day, to just see, because there's just so much innovation happening on it. I'll be honest, most of it is crap. It's not as good. It's not as well defined. But that's the beginning of an early stage thing. So you're expecting to see that, but the speed at which innovation is happening, Julia, is insane. Like, and if you've seen Dharmesh writing his AIagent.com, and how many thousands of AI agents all he already has over there, and people are contributing and creating new agents. So, but they're all at best doing a couple of tasks, almost like the way companies started to think about having an executive assistant. I think AI agents are executive assistants for your work. The biggest shift that's happening is where organizations are saying, can I build $100 million company with 100 people?
Yep.
That is a very possible outcome in the next year or two, to start seeing that. For Terminus, when we started to get to like 30, 40, 50, we had 300 people, 400 people. Now you don't really need, I mean, can you imagine the cost of having a 400 people team versus 100 people? The cost, I mean, the profitability of these businesses are going to go through the roof, and then the amount of innovation you're going to see on the product side is going to be huge. So that's what's exciting to see. Can you actually build a $100 million company with 100 people? And for the people who's thinking like, man, I don't know where my job goes, if it is, for those, it's like, hey, your job is the most creative job. It's the most fun job to happen, because agents cannot do what you can do. What you can do is think, come up with ideas, come up with ways to do what these agents are supposed to do. So as a matter of fact, everybody needs to level up and embrace this and say, what is my role that will make our business more profitable? Because profitable businesses is where you make money. Otherwise, you're just moving from a job to job. So I think the RevOps in the agentic wave of that's happening, I think is the most amazing thing, the best time to be in a go-to-market role right now.
When do you think we'll reach the state when the generative AI will be able to actually produce the inverse of the average as opposed to the average?
Yeah, it can happen very fast, Julia. The innovation is super, super good. I think in the next 12 to 24 months, I can already see it happening. I can share some of the clients we have where they're $10 million and they have less than 10 people doing a lot of these things, and they are, but it wouldn't look like, it will look like they're a 500 people company. So it's really interesting how this is actually happening today. But there's not enough data. There's not enough pattern matching yet. There are onesie, twosies, like people are doing it, and that's not pattern. So for the pattern to emerge, you need at least another 12 to 24 months. But I can imagine, like, this is the most creative time for all of us. We need to be super creative. We need to ask great questions. We need to learn how to navigate these areas, and it's gonna make people's jobs so much more easier. Like, who wants to go there and just do spreadsheets, and who wants to just run reports? Why wouldn't you spend more time analyzing it and thinking critically about it and looking at what next steps are doing, and then thinking, well, should we do that? Like those those are the days that we're looking forward to. And it's just like internet. Yeah, I can imagine, Julia, right in the 90s, when internet came about and people are sitting with a coffee cup on their dining table, they're like, can you believe it? They're gonna stuff our neighborhood bookstore is gonna go on the cloud. I don't know what they're talking about, and we're gonna have no jobs, and we're gonna have no relationships, and here we are. Every single business is on internet, and we still have jobs and have more jobs. And same thing is with AI. Right now, everybody's in this mode of figuring it out, but it's like the greatest time. It's like never, once or twice maybe in the human history, where things have so catastrophically changed, not in a negative way, but in a good way.
What tech excites you the most?
Whoa, that's a great question. It's not there yet. It's not there yet. I can tell you what problems, if a tech solves, is most exciting for me. I feel that the best, the use cases that I'm looking forward to are not these typical SDR, AE, outreach. It's just going to create more spam and more personalized. And within 2 days, oh, that's a bot. Like that's the part. I think what I'm excited to see is for whatever different ways and tools and AI we can use to create new products in itself. So imagine you have a set of customers who, and you said, you know what, my business is, let's just take an example, ads. I want to run ads. And that's the product you are, and that's all you can think about, and that's all you're doing. But imagine and let's say you have 1,000 customers now using your product that runs ads on LinkedIn and Facebook. Let's just use that as an example. Imagine if your AI can see all the patterns of how people are using it and come up with a new product that you didn't think, you didn't have to invent yet. The product invented a product. That's when innovation goes to a new level, because now you're in a complete, you're identifying use cases, because we can do pattern matching as well. It's going to take us, when you asked me, 12, 24 months to do pattern matching, but AI can do pattern matching based on how people are using it in seconds. When product creates another product idea, and that can be launched, and that can be closed and observed immediately as part of it, to me, that's the most exciting use case. All these others are fine and useful, but it's not as exciting as when a product creates a product.
Will you become a founder again?
Yeah. I need therapy. There's once you become a founder, it's you can't get a job, right? You just can't, it's not that you work less. And people have this weird thought around, oh, you're a CEO of a company, or I mean, okay, that doesn't do anything. That doesn't pay any bills. That doesn't do anything. Essentially, you're working really, really hard than most people. Like, I remember, Julie, this is kind of interesting. During the last 2 weeks of December, most people who are employed and who have they're taking a week off and 2 weeks off, and you hear about that, right? Almost all of them, and they absolutely should. I had 20 calls with CEOs on my walks, on my drives, on my middle of the day thought, and because all of the CEOs and all of the founders, they're all using this time to think, to take this time to not disconnect from the business, which is something that they're trying to do every day, but it's really to reimagine their business. I still remember when I was at Salesforce, Mark Benioff would just go off and into his Hawaii, mansion and the beach, and then he would come back and say, "Hey, here's the message for next year." Right? Like, so he would do that because he would have time to think. He would read books. He would spend like 3-4 days not doing anything, just thinking, reading stuff, and then come up with something. And there's a power in that amount of thinking that you do. So I had like 20 plus calls with CEOs just walking around. They're calling me, I'm calling you, because there's a whole circle of lonely CEOs all over the world who have nobody else to talk to. They can call their employee and tell them. So they're just talking to each other. Hey, what are you doing about it? Here's my problem. Oh, and so that creates a new layer of it. So I think as a founder CEO, I think that's really exciting when you get to reimagine, invent something that's not there. And there's almost a sparkle in your eyes, and things start moving. It's a great thing.
Super inspiring. Let's dive into the deck.
Okay. All right, let's do it. So I wanted to show a couple of things And this can go in any way. And I'll probably spend 5-7 minutes, because one of the things was you wanted to see and people wanted to hear about, well, what was the Terminus story look like? So let me know. Can you see the deck?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, cool. So it's slides from some other deck I've used. The first and foremost, when we launched the Move book, the number one question people asked was, okay, this market operations velocity expansion is amazing, it's good, but how do I operationalize it? How do I make it work? How do I implement it? And that allowed us and forced us to create the go-to-market operating system. This is a way, as you can see, Julie, as we talked about, there's no marketing, sales, CS in here, although you can see which areas they might be predominantly working in. But that was the idea, is that this is not a functional operating system. This is a company operating system. This is how businesses should operate. These are the 8 different pillars where companies need to really understand how to operate in, and every one of these have a ripple effect on others. And therefore, it's not a funnel, it's literally a flywheel in that sense. And along the way, through our research, we found out the most important 8 questions that every leader, every go-to-market individual, every CEO, every executive should know how to answer. And it's not necessarily the best answer is what should come, but rather the most clearest answer should come out of it. And you can see I've highlighted that there is a level of intentionality in these questions. It didn't say, where can you grow? That's not the question. That's oh, we can grow anywhere in the world, right? That's the bad question. The better question is, where can you grow the most? That should allow you to pause and reflect and think about, well, we can grow in SMB and mid-market enterprise. I think we can grow the fastest in this, or maybe in this vertical. People are not spending enough time thinking about these questions in that way. Same thing. It's not about which products do we create and how do we create customer value, table stakes. The question is, which products do we create that have the highest amount of customer value, so we can have a great. And so every single thing differentiated, being faster, what's the ROI in customer minds, how do we upserve as opposed to upsell our customers, the health, all of these things are very thoughtful words that we have created as a result of all the research and the work that we have been doing for a number of years now. So I want to show you more specifically. I'll show you this. This is HubSpot. So we applied that. So every single individual out there can create this today. They can go and figure out how to create a go-to-market on a slide. So we did that for HubSpot. As you can see at the top, and I'm going to use Terminus as an example and show you one more so people get an idea for it, and we can then take questions. If you look at it, for HubSpot, they started at SMB level, the top marketers SMB. And then over a period of time, they added agencies, they went mid-market, they added sales and CS and enterprise. But imagine the beginning, all they had was marketers. Then the market investment map will be all they focused on was inbound. Their point of view was the inbound marketing that you can see along the way. But as soon as they added agencies or sales or CS persona, guess what? They have to have a product that supports that. Now, if they're launching a product, the same thing, they have to have a market to go after, which is why they went from an inbound funnel, go flywheel for a specific reason to do this. So this allows them to see which area is going to fall off if I introduce. So let's say they want to introduce developers right now. If they introduce developers as a new market to go to, the first will be like, we don't really have that market today. That's what this will tell them. We don't have a product that supports developers. We don't have a point of view. It's all about inbound, community outbound. We don't have, so they will have to go create all of it in order to introduce a market, and they would see the gaps in it. So it's a very strategic way. It's not perfect. It's not 100%. Every single thing in your kitchen sink is not going to be here, but what's going to be here is allowing you to make go-to-market business decisions. Here's an example I did for Terminus I've never done this before. So this is literally for everybody to see it. I was working on it this morning for this call as I saw the description is, and how did we do it? Terminus. So this is pretty much 10 years of go-to-market OS. And I've never done this. So this will be the first time. So if there are any issues, let me know. But here it is. So the same operating system, I'm going to go question by question, all 8 questions, so people can understand how we thought about it at that time. When we started off, we figured out, and our thought was, we can grow the most in mid-market. We can't go in SMB, we can't go in enterprise, but mid-market, because it was that's where we saw the most innovation was happening. And demand gen was more of a new role that was getting created in 2014. So that was our focus. We thought This is where we grow the most. From a product perspective, although we evangelized ABM, our product, what we saw was the fastest revenue in the marketplace was advertising. And here's why, Julia. When you do advertising, we saw customers could launch it in less than 30 minutes. That was never before done in B2B enterprise mid-market software. You have to get onboarding and somebody has to show you, and then it takes you 3 weeks and launch. And in 2014, that was normal. We actually created something that could be launched in 30 minutes, and people didn't know what to do with it. PLG didn't exist at that time. So it was the fastest way to enable customers to start doing ABM, even though we didn't do everything in ABM. We just did advertising in many ways. You probably remember our whole differentiated point of view was flip my funnel. Somebody might be here. I actually posted something yesterday. I don't know if you saw that, but I posted a video for me 10 years ago. Didn't know even how to take a breath in my promotion and flipping a giant. Did you see that one? Yeah, we did. Okay. So it was kind of funny. And the point is, like, that was it. We just took one idea of flip my funnel and we worked on it for 8 years. 8 years. We did podcasts, wrote books, did everything we can, wrote shows, virtual events, everything was flip my funnel. That was our differentiated point of view. In terms of how we grew and how we started to do, which was all these in-person events. We had flip my funnel road shows. I think we did like 25 road shows in 3 years. We would go every city we possibly can, sharing the gospel of ABM and getting them excited about challenging the status quo to become a better demand gen leader, to focus, even though all our product did was advertising. It didn't do the whole thing, but we talked about the whole thing and saying, yeah, we can solve everything. You should use other things, but here is what we do. And we even got competitors to actually be on that journey with us. That was more exciting. We had Demandbase and Engagio and all these customers who were competing with us actually at our event speaking. We can jump into how do you do that in a futuristic state. ROI, we just looked at, well, how fast they can do 30 minutes. If that's the ROI, we just focused on that one. Because we only did advertising, we realized we had a huge gap of growth from a growth perspective. We couldn't innovate fast enough. We didn't have agentic AI and we didn't have all of those things. So what we did was we just acquired. Most people don't know this, but we acquired 5 companies in that time. And almost every year and a half, we went and acquired a company. And what we found was, what is it that we can keep hooking into this ABM language? Can we do chat? Okay, we acquired a chat company called Ramble Chat. Can we do data? We acquired Zalotech. Can we do signature within email marketing? We acquired Sixter. So we kept doing that so that we have a full Bright Funnel. Can we have analytics on ABM? So we acquired Bright Funnel. So that gave us a full suite without really building it because we didn't have enough building going on. Our 100% focus was on NRR. We knew the company will not succeed if we don't, and having additional products and acquisition allowed us to create NRR, which is why we grew from 1 to 5 to 15, over a period of this time. And then ultimately we had these two core values. One was keys to the Ferrari and the other was one team. The point of keys to the Ferrari, Julia, was very clearly that, look, we're not going to babysit anybody. You have a Ferrari. This is an incredible industry that you get to be. You're smart. We want you to drive. You want to go as fast as you can. There's no stopping you. Just have that mentality around it. But the second was one team. Is like, hey, look, nobody wins alone and nobody loses alone. You have to watch each other's back. So one of the things we did was when somebody said, hey, I got a problem, that person's job was to make sure that they go and make sure that problem is solved, not saying, oh, you should talk to the product team. Oh, you should talk. No, don't do that. You're one team. So we had this almost diametrically opposite values of core of keys to the Ferrari: go as fast as you can, but never let anybody be left behind. So we did that because we wanted a healthy tension in the business to think about it. And we had so much fun with that. But that's Terminus in general. Any thoughts, any questions, Julia, on this one?
So many. I love the fact that you basically went with the idea of flip the funnel for 8 years. Why didn't you experiment? Because it's so common in the industry. Like, I mean, I don't know, every month they would just change the direction radically. So you don't even know what's the product is anymore. Or like, what's your thinking?
I'll give you an example. I'm in Atlanta and there's a lot of Chick-fil-A fans over here. If you're from Atlanta or from the South, you would know what I mean. And their whole event, you ask anybody what Chick-fil-A really is, advertising is all about, and everybody, oh, it's about the cow. Like, cow is saying that go eat chicken, don't eat meat, go eat chicken. Like that was the whole Chick-fil-A thing. It's still there. All over the city, you will see big cow billboards everywhere. I know the VP of marketing at that time. And I asked him, like, man, why are you not experimenting? Just like what you're asking me, why are you not doing? He said, dude, we do research every year and our penetration is less than 30%. So until it gets to 100%, we wouldn't do it. And that made me think about, that's $1 billion company. Such a clear thing. The worst thing we can possibly do is to confuse your buyer on different things. You need to stay consistent. We all have, Julie, a shelf life of maybe 3 things. If I ask you, tell me shoe brands that you might say Nike, Adidas, and Reebok, and then slowly you're going to start like, I don't know, what else? Maybe there's 4th. Maybe if you're super into shoes, you might be able to say 5th, but that's it. So we have 2 or 3 things that we can have as a shelf life in our brain. So why create that? And if you're lucky enough, and if you're blessed enough, if you're good enough, they'll remember you for one thing. And I thought at that time, as we worked as a company, is like, man, there's no way. We didn't raise money in the early days. We didn't have anything at that time. We want to be known for one thing. And if they can remember us for one thing, they'll remember us forever. So even today, people remember Flip My Funnel. They're like, it's so interesting. Like at 10,000 people like responding and commenting and sharing and sharing their own version of the story when they were at one of the early. It was so exciting. But that one thing, that's why it's called differentiated point of view, not a point of view, because your point of view can keep changing. What is your differentiated point of view that is so unique? That's you, totally you. There's nobody else can actually come in and take that point of view. And Flip My Funnel was that. And every company has something that they have to think through and work towards that.
How do you know that the point of view is basically the one?
Yeah, you don't. You don't know. You live it and you embody it and you tell it and you sleep with it, you wake up with it, you tell it and live it, and you do that every single day. Nobody's going to believe more than you believe in it. That's one of the most important lessons I learned in this whole process. We had to believe in this idea of flipping funnels to challenge the status quo and changing the way companies go to market. At that time, ABM, we just believed it. We didn't think there was any other way possible. And we would almost wonder, why would you do any other way? We would question, we'll challenge it. We will even go to a point. I remember at one of the events in San Francisco, we actually put together a group of protesters. We actually paid them to come and protest at our event that give us leads, no more funnels, no more funnels. And we had a whole video and the media covered it and all that stuff, because we believe that, look, this is the better way. And until that time, that was the better way, because everybody was doing leads and people had all kinds of challenges with it. Like, no, not 2 leads are equal. Why are you doing this? So we believed in it, and we just saw people starting to say, hey, you know what? We can see that you don't have the full answer, but you believe in it enough. So we are willing to be on this journey with you. That is a huge part. People would give incredible grace. And we got a lot of grace for not having a perfect product, because we were evangelizing a better way of doing certain things. And people want to be part of something. Like, they don't want, if I come to you and pitch, here's what Terminus does, we do the best advertising and all of these things, you're like, okay, great, you're all about yourself, so what? Instead, if I came to you, Julia, and say, you know what, we're going to change the way marketing and sales work. I think it has been broken. We all have been working hard. We're not able to create pipeline and revenue. There got to be a better way. What do you think? And that allows you to enter a conversation with us, and for me to get in conversation with you. It changes everything. So did I know if Flip My Funnel was the thing? No. But did we believe it? 100%.
What happened to B2B marketing? Why isn't it that cool anymore?
I tell people all the time, Julia, B2B does not stand for boring to boring. People are boring to boring, and a lot of times they end up doing, but it's that there is a pressure cooker almost for every in B2B. There is the VC element around it. If you raise money, you gotta be triple, double, triple, all of that. We all lived that for like 20 years. I believe that. And same thing, those people who evangelized that thing, we all believed it, because they believed that was the best way to grow. And now everybody's talking about, no, we want a profitable growth. We're writing a new research right now around software as service I'm not saying it's dead, but we're reversing on it. Instead of software as a service, service as a software. We're writing a whole research around that, and people are already pulling threads from the post that we did recently around it, because we believe the best companies, if you have a service that will make your product sticky, then you'll have customers that will stay with you, and guess what? That increases your NRR, which makes you a healthier, proper business. People are going back to those basics. We want to have profitable customers, we want to have profitable business, we have a long-term employee, all of those things. So I think every year, every decade or so, there's something new that happens and people try to get into it. And I think there was a time when email came out, and then marketing automation said, hey, we're going to capture leads. Marketing automation came out, ABM came and saying too many leads, let's go focus. ABM came out, and now GTM is coming and saying, you know what, all of this is good, but maybe you don't need ABM. You may need PLG, or you may grow through events, you may go through community. So it's continuing to layer. We're learning and growing. I had no idea what I'm doing right now compared to what I did 10 years ago. So we're all learning and growing in that.
Speaking of, what would you do differently, knowing what you know now then?
And I'll take the slide off. I feel I would have been more kinder to myself and others. I would try to find, it's really hard, Julia, because when you believe something so wholeheartedly and you are committed to it with everything you got, and there is no other way to make change happen without doing unscalable, unbelievable almost, and still and have the authenticity around it, so that you live, breathe, and die with that, having that level of conviction around that. When you have all of those things, you're just committed. And when you're so committed to something, other things will take second precedence in your life. So when you think about family, when you think about personal relationships, all of that, I think there was a lot of cost I paid when I was on this journey and I was all in it. And I think now that I'm starting a new company, I'm recognizing some of those things and I'm adjusting to it. But the passion and the commitment and the clarity, there's no other way you can build something that changes the world, a little bit of that world that you're focused on, right? The FloodMap Funnel didn't change the whole world, but it changed for an industry the way they went to market. And same thing we want to do with go to market, and that's a huge responsibility and a huge commitment, and it takes years before it actually becomes a true. Like we still have people today I have this ABM course on LinkedIn. There are over 50,000 people who have taken it. I still get, last 2 weeks ago, a public company CEO came and said, can you teach us how to do ABM? I'm like, 10 years, right? 10 years I've been doing this, like, just go listen to all of it. But somebody new is coming into the market right now and saying, aha, that's a better way. So it's a long road. It's not personal, everything. And you have to be on it for long periods of time. I think if I knew that, I think I would pace myself a little bit differently and better. But again, I wouldn't know. I didn't know any other way. I just don't know any other way.
I love that you didn't answer AI. What are your thoughts on hiring?
Couple of thoughts. One, I'll always hire in twos. I've learned that the hard way. Never hire one person at a time. And the reason is there is no metric, there is no way to grow, there's no bonding. The person is in like la la land and you don't know how to do. But you hire two people, like two SDRs when you are in sales, or even a product and a marketing person at the same time, as much as you can. I've learned the benefit of hiring in two is more than any amount of money you could pay towards it, because now all of a sudden, if it's in two department or two, they all are already working together. There's a bond that is already formed without you even trying. So forcing somehow a way to hire in multiples, at least two or more, it's a beautiful thing, at least from a start date perspective. You may have other things going on. So that's one that I've learned. Two, I have this I'm all about framework. So, you tell me if you don't want me to share a framework, but other framework is this idea that I failed more than once on hiring. I got it wrong, where I hired somebody, did the background check, talked to the person who recommended, got a heavy, amazing referral around it. And in a week it bombed, and I'm like, whoa, got wrong. I did again in another area, and again I hired somebody, I did everything, and again I failed. And I didn't understand. I'm like, I thought I've hired a lot of people at Pardot and Salesforce and Terminus. Why am I failing? And the reason is I didn't understand that most people are either dreamers, doers, or drivers. And if you put a dreamer in a doer job, or a doer in a driver job, or a driver in a dreamer job, it will kill them. And so on paper, you could have got the same skills in it, but you don't have the same mindset. It's gonna kill the business. So for example, if I want to start a new department, I need a dreamer. I don't need a doer, because doers are looking for vision. I don't have the vision for that department. You need to come up with that. So I need a dreamer who wants to work in chaos and figure it out and make something out of it. And once you have a department, then you need, and if the department is not doing well, or a program is not doing well, you need a driver, because the driver is going to have sense of urgency around it. So that's a skills mindset person. They may have the skill set to run events, but if they don't know, man, they need to run 10 events and they got to be good at it and fast at it. They didn't have a driver mentality, then they're not great for that particular role. Or if you have something that's just working and you want to make sure it's just smooth sailing, like onboarding or a PLG, then you need a doer who there check the boxes, make sure everything is perfect, no spots left uncleaned. And so I've just learned to figure out and ask questions around dreamer, doer, driver based on what I'm really looking for. That's a long-winded answer to the hiring part.
You have a book, or maybe it's coming, Mark Robert's style framework on identifying dreamers, doers, drivers.
Yeah.
How do you spot them? What are the type of questions you ask to even?
I actually wrote about it, so I'm sure if people search it, they will find it. I wrote it in GTM Monday, our research note, I think last year sometime. So I created a whole 8-question assessment that people can do where, so for example, I'd ask questions like, well, how do you work? Just very open-ended question, almost unclear question. You don't even know how to answer that. And depending on the answer, you very quickly you can figure it out. Somebody said, well, I like to have long periods of thinking time to make sure I'm doing the right thing. You already know they're a dreamer. Even before they finish their statement, they like thinking as a big part of what they do. The other person might say, well, I like to get things done as quickly as possible. And they're a driver. There's no way the dreamer will kill them if I put them in that role. Or somebody might say, well, how do you work? Well, I like to be very organized. I want to make sure that everything is done properly. I like to connect every dot that I possibly can and run through and make sure everybody has all the information they need. They're a doer, right? So there are questions so open-ended. I created like 8 questions around this that will just absolutely help. Even one question, if you ask that open-ended way, you will figure out if they're a dreamer, doer, driver, and you need to know what you're hiring for, and that way you can make that match.
What's your vision for CEOs? Do they have to combine all of the 3 traits, or
most leaders, you think about Tim Cook versus Steve Jobs, 2 CEOs, right? Anybody would say, well, we all know Steve Jobs was a dreamer. There's no question, doubt anybody's mind. We all know Tim Cook is not a dreamer, but what is he? He was a COO of the company. He was the driver for the company. As a matter of fact, the best way to know who people are is to go read what they said. So you look at Martin Luther King or Jr. or I have a dream, right? You just know you're a dreamer, just the way you speak about it. Versus like Sheryl Sandberg, who was the CEO of Facebook, and she's like, I need to get things done. I want to get it done right. And she's a classic doer. So what I've learned is that there are all kinds of CEOs who could either be a dreamer, doer, or a driver. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. Now, dreamers are obviously more charismatic and they like to move the mountains and vision and are great at putting something out there. Drivers are probably a little bit of a bulldozer because they're just trying to push everything forward faster and sometimes may overrun other people and other projects. And doers are just quieter, introverts a lot of times, trying to get things done. So that's very, not always, but most cases, that's typically the 3 types that I've observed. But Tim Cook, he made the Apple company way more valuable than it was when Steve Jobs was. And everybody thought he's going to fail, and he's still the CEO, right? So like Elon Musk, like very differently. like a Sheryl Sandberg, like I think about Mother Teresa. I mean, she look at what she did, and then there's this girl out of Pakistan who just said, you know what, I want everybody to every girl to have a pen and to be able to write and read, because I believe in the rights for girls of any age, from any place, from any background, to be able to write and learn and be able to go to school. She's a dreamer. So her name is Malala, if anybody has followed her story, and she was going to get shot and all this stuff. So there are people all over the world today that is very quickly, within 2 sentences, if you ask the right questions or read their stuff, you'll figure out the dreamer or a doer or driver. CEOs or any leader at any stage, it doesn't matter. Just embrace who you are first and foremost. If it's a God's gift, whatever way you are, and you can lean into it. So I'm a classic dreamer, as you can probably imagine, and you can tell. I love creating. I wake up with 100 ideas every morning. Like, it's a problem for me that I'm working through and recovering from it. But I have this stuff. So I one time somebody said to me, like, man, I'll give you a very quick short story on it. And when you started Terminus, so excited about this problem, I will do every day 10-minute marketing minute. I called it like, hey, we're going to spend time talking about marketing and how we do. First week, everybody showed up, and I talked about this and that on a whiteboard. Everybody got excited, and they went. Second day, I did the same thing. Third day, fourth day, 2 people showed up. And last day, nobody showed up. And I'm like, what happened? Well, I burned their minds because none of them are dreamers. So I'm just telling the story and telling what we should do. And then I go, some of them are taking notes and saying, okay, Sangram said, so we got to do this thing. Next day, Sangram said, so I got to do this. And now I just burned their mind because they were all drivers and doers. And they're like, I don't know what to prioritize. I don't know what to do. So I burned their brains with my inability to prioritize for them. I was just telling ideas because that's what I do. So somebody told me, my business coach at that time, dude, just write it down. All your ideas. If you have ideas, just write it down. And every day, write the same idea if you're getting the same idea. For a week, if you have the same exact idea and it's bothering you and it's stopping you, then come and talk to me and talk to others. That helped me so much because 90% of my ideas were crap. So they didn't really value anything, but I was excited. So people thought, oh, we got to do this. But in a week, 90% will fizzle out, and all I have left today, a couple of ideas. And they're like, oh yeah, we can make that happen. So it was very helpful.
With the enhancement of and advancement of agentic AI, do you think that we even will need doers?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I feel that doers, 80% of most companies are made up of doers. That's just natural data, and everything I've looked at around it. It's like 80% are doers. And you need doers. Without doers, you can't. I'd say that you need dreamers so you can imagine a world you want to live in and a problem that you want to solve. You need drivers so they can move things faster in a way that you want to get done. And you need doers to get things done, period. And there will always be a need to make sure that there's a human intervention to get things right. Over a period of time, we are going to have, oh yeah, here's the system, do it. The system is going to start learning and doing something, and somebody needs to keep and make sure that, oh, it's not going away from what its original charter was. And so when people write skills that people have to do for agentic AI, go do this. And it does it. Okay, just keep doing that. But it's going to start learning on itself, and it can go in a different direction. So you need a clarity of, no, not that far, not this far. And doer is going to be indispensable almost, because they are the ones who are going to make sure that things are actually working the way they're intended to be. Dreamers are going to go tell the idea and move on. And drivers will like, hey, get that thing done, and they move on. Doers are the one who's going to make sure, okay, are we really doing what we said we're going to do? They're the most important people in any company.
I'm just thinking, what's your AI prediction? I'm so sorry to constantly just drag you into the AI route. It's the hottest topic, Sangram. This is the single keyword that all of our questions are focused on and people wanted to hear about. So I have to do that.
Go for it.
But yeah, go-to-market frameworks and AI. How do you see the change? Because I mean, I hate to be pessimistic, but AI's ROI is clearly human replacement.
Yeah.
So how do you see it play out this year?
Well, I'll take you back to this. Is like, somebody asked me this question: if you're building Terminus again, what would you change in each one of these areas? So let's see. Where we can grow the most, I can use AI to figure out a list of people I need to go after very quickly and make sure they're getting the message. So this is going to get better and faster. I wouldn't change, but we have to make the decision that these are the people to go after. So that's the difference. We would have, instead of acquiring multiple companies, hopefully the product would have created new products that hasn't cost us an arm and a leg. 5 acquisitions in a matter of 8 years of a company is a lot. I would have rather not done that. I would have had more products created, so to create more value. AI would have solved that problem for us, but we had to rely on other people. I don't think this could have been replaced by AI differentiated point of view. This was personal. This was emotional. This was something you had to put time. There's no other way to put it. Would it have come up with better names and phrases? Well, there's a company called Apple. It's a fruit, but it's worth a lot. So the names don't do anything by them. So what it does is what you put in it and effort behind it. So I think we would have to still do it. It might have helped us with some messaging, but the positioning of it in the marketplace would have been still a human thing. In-person events would still be a human thing. Influencer marketing would still be a human thing. The speed would be a lot faster. People could have get with agentic AI. If I were to launch it today, it would be much faster, not even 30 minutes to get on. Upserving would have happened, as I said in here. The growth will still be NRR. And a lot of this, it was still, again, very human. So there are so many elements of a business that are human. Even I layer over in AI, I might do another time just focused on AI. There are probably, of these 8 questions, probably 4 of them are one that would have accelerated the AI element and would have saved a lot of time and money and all that. But there's such an incredible human element around flip my funnel, in-person events, clarity, core values that I don't think it will still have impact, but there are probably 4 areas that could be very automated and cost savings, and there are probably 4 areas that you could never automate because it's such a human thing.
I'm trying, I know we have only 2 minutes here, so I'm just trying to address a couple of questions, so many from the audience. One is, how do you recommend balancing velocity with long-term strategy?
Well, the velocity is not just velocity in sales. Velocity in the book, we uncovered a lot more on it. It's velocity of ramping people up, which with agentic AI, you could do a little bit faster. Velocity of is brand. How quickly can the brand can be an imprint in people's minds and hearts about what you solve and what you don't solve. So across the board, every single one of these are very important areas to focus on. So if I, again, layering on AI around this and thinking through it, I imagine that the human intervention, people talk about it, is so much more important now than ever before, because all the creativity, how else are we going to have?
Where is this framework not appropriate for GTM?
Oh, I love that. This operating system is probably applicable even if you're a B2C company or a B2B, because it's a way of thinking. It's not a way of operationalizing it. It's a way of thinking. Move operationalizes it. It allows you to say what, but OS, what I just showed, it's going to give you so much clarity. Just like the velocity, we want to move faster. The reason teams are not able to move faster, going back to the very first thing I shared, that almost 70% of the go-to-market leaders say if the company had clarity in their vision and in their way to go to market, they would have hit their numbers. That is not an AI thing. That's not a velocity thing. You have to really pause and go through it. Teams will move faster once they know where you go. It's like the kid can draw. My kids, they could get the bike and go faster because they already know where to go. If they don't know, you're going to slow around and you're going to look around and see what it is. But if you know this is your cul-de-sac, this is your neighborhood, this is your pot, you're going to be fine going as fast as you can. That's what leaders are supposed to do.
And the last question, what do you think about Salesforce's decision to hire 2,000 reps to sell Agentforce?
Smart. Absolutely smart. Same thing, HubSpot. I remember most people thought, well, HubSpot was an inbound company. I went to HubSpot in Boston. They had a floor of salespeople. So humans are absolutely the key to do everything that we want. And we would always continue to have, oh, all the stuff I do that I shouldn't be doing, I need someone. But you're not couldn't have had this conversation. You couldn't replace. You maybe get a clone version of it. There are so many that's done, but it's never going to sound authentic. It's never going to get a high pitch and a low pitch as I'm feeling the emotions of my heart around certain things that have so much history in my mind. Or when I say flip my funnel, there are a burst of emotions that come through me because I lived it for 8 years, and there are memories around it that you can't really train AI to have. So it can do certain things, but it can. So I think Salesforce is going to do great as a result of that.
Sangram, such a treat. A little bit over time. Thank you so much for joining us today. And what's the best way to support you? What are you working on lately? And where should our people go?
Well, they can always follow me on LinkedIn, as you know. We write a research note called GTM Monday. So if you search, anybody searches GTM Monday, there's 175,000 people read that every Monday. So people can subscribe to that. And the best thing you could do is take this operating system that I just shared. We can do advisory for a lot of companies. So we want people, but you'll be a better marketer or sales leader or a CEO if you can use this and just take it to your office on Monday and say, hey guys, can we answer these questions? Are we even in the ballpark of the responses? Are we all on the same page? That is going to change the way you go to market. So I hope people can take the operating system and make it practical for themselves.
Thank you. We are going to be back in February 11 to 13 with the AI-led growth summit. And obviously, we'd love to feature you there as well, Sangram. So fireside chats are always welcome. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and see you soon.
Thanks all. Thanks, Julia. This was fantastic.
Thanks.